You got click. Did
Yes.
you click it? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Hello, good morning, everybody. I'm very happy today to talk to Nurit Asnash from Israel. Nurit's one of my fellow facilitators for the work, and she wrote a book that's called Judge Your Mother. And I'm really excited about it because there it is. I'm really excited about this book because, we blame a lot of stuff on our mothers. And so out of that can come, so much personal freedom of judging our mothers. And it's written about the work, but I will let Nurit tell us more about it.
Yeah. So I think it's good what you said about that we judge our mothers, because I get some feedback sometimes from people who visit my Facebook page and they make a comment about the title a lot. And I'm assuming these are people who are not familiar with the work of Byron Katie, because Judge Your Mother resonates with people who practice the work, because we know the worksheet. It's a Judge Your Neighbor worksheet that we use as a main tool when we do the work. So Judge Your Mother just sounds like so natural. But I think for random people who come across the book, I get feedbacks that, like one person wrote to me, "Shut up, blah, 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 blah." Another person said, "Your mother carried you for 9 months, blah, blah, blah." Or another person says, like, "I know the work, it's good work, but the title does give a knee jerk when you hear about it." So the name of the book itself steers some emotions in people. But this is what we do. We judge everyone and everything all the time.
Yes.
And it can be a positive judgment and it can be a negative judgment. But yes, I also felt like for years, I've been trying to deal with this relationship in the more, what I think is the conventional, classical ways, which is blaming other people for my misery. And it just made me miserable for so many decades until I found the work and I found something else, which starts with judge another person, but then in the process, I get so many insights about myself. And that's where the freedom comes from. Part of where the freedom comes from, but it comes from somehow along the way. You understand that I understand when I blame and judge another person, and I look to me and get to know me a lot better. And I don't need to find who's at fault because I turned this way or my life turned this way. So yeah, it starts with acknowledging, accepting that we do judge other people. And for many people, mother is number one, father is number two, or the other way around. But these are the two most important people in our lives. And I think that part of it is because mother and father are the people who take away our freedom from us the most throughout our childhood and teenage years, and maybe even as adults. They tell us what to do and what they expect of us, or at least this is how we experience that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Totally. So what you said is, you mentioned this word twice now, and you said, first you said that the work is a way to freedom. And so this book has been for you a way to freedom, and then that mother and father take away our freedom. Do you want to say a little bit more on that?
Yeah, because I thought about my book, and especially when it came out and I started promoting it. And even though I've been in it on a daily basis for many hours every day, I still was contemplating, what is this book about? And what is the message? And of course, there are many messages and many angles that you can find in the book or relate to about the book. But for me personally, I think it's about personal freedom. And I think that's the biggest benefit that I've got from going so deep and so far about doing the work about my mother. Just more freedom for so many core beliefs, for example, that I grew up on, and I believe millions of other people also grew up on, and we believed it, and we never questioned it, and believing in those core beliefs cause a lot of stress and suffering. For example, mothers should put their children's needs first.
Right.
And reality shows for many people, it's not working like that. And even in happy homes, happy mothers, it doesn't work like that all the time. So it just, I started questioning everything, culture and religion and politics and everything, all the messages that consciously and subconsciously I was receiving and believing without questioning and following and obeying and expecting. And just this big confusion when reality hits you in the face and wakes you up and you see it's not working by the book of me, So so a lot of freedom from false beliefs, a lot of freedom from believing in other people's truth that are not necessarily my truth. And questioning beliefs about mother, it takes you to question everything.
Because I think probably about 50% of our core beliefs would be coming from, what we gotten from our mother. And that's what you said, mother is number one, father is number two, or the other way around. But that is like a lot of the core of what we're taking in as we grow up, of how we should be.
Yeah, but also, like religion and politics and psychology and school, they also tell you what to think about your parents and about yourself.
Right.
But that's like the deepest connection I think we have with another human. First it's our parents, and then I think it's with our children.
Right.
Because, even if you have a partner, you can always separate, but you can never separate from your parents and from your children. So to me, these are the most profound relationships in my life. And I think when I became a mother myself, my kids brought up, I saw it in my kids. It brought me back to looking at all those beliefs about mother and father and parenthood and being a mother, and oh boy. Yes.
So how has that so obviously as you were writing this book, you did a lot of work on your beliefs. So how has that impacted your life then? Your relationships with others, how you feel now compared to before the book? What would you say?
Well, I think first I used to do the work on a lot of things, but I sort of avoided working on mother, father, and also my children. But it came to a point where just the suffering was too much. And I don't remember which one was the biggest motive, but I'm guessing it was with my children. My son became a teenager, and so things were heating up, and there were a lot of arguments and tension and conflicts and stuff. So I, as a mother, wanted to create the family that I wanted and didn't have. And I wanted to be the mother that I didn't have. And I want to do things in my family that I dreamt about. You know, the one day when I'll have my own family, I will do this and that. And then my kids came along, and I don't want to raise my middle finger, but it's like, no, we don't think so. So it was causing a lot of tension here in the house. So I started doing the work on this with my children. And then, you know, all the motherhood thing surfaced. It was very confusing, very confusing. And, you know, I think a lot of people, when they become parents, they want to be the parents that they didn't have, or they want to be better than their parents and not repeat their parents' mistakes.
Mhm.
So this is, you know, I got cornered in that spot. So
Yes.
yes, there was no choice than to look at my mother and father too. I think I did more work on my father, uh, and that dissolved more quickly.
Mhm.
But mother was sticky, very sticky. So yeah, in the end, I found a friend, and I knew he has some other issues. And I told him, you know, I noticed we never do the work on our mothers. So let's just do it together.
Mhm.
And we started with the same thought. I facilitated him on this thought, and he facilitated me on the same thought. And then we picked similar situations. And we did that for a few weeks. And then one day I told him, you know, I think we have the same mother. Just, yeah. And I started getting a lot of insights from that work that we did together. And this is how the idea to write the book came up one day. And I forgot what your question was.
The question was like, as you gone through this process, how did it impact the way you see, you know,
Yeah.
yeah, you see relationships, and so just to have a before the book and Nurit before the book and Nurit after the book.
Yes. So I think it started with doing the work in general on different things, because Byron Katie talks a lot about arguing with reality.
Mhm.
But I saw that I'm not just arguing, I'm really fighting with reality. I have this energy of fighting with reality, even when reality gives me good things.
Right,
Fight it, because I have all kind of stories in my head about how things should be and how I should be and all those shoulds.
right.
So that changed, and the book just
Nice.
made me yeah, very nice. The book just made me do my work more intensively
Mhm.
on a daily basis. It was on my mind because of the book all day long, every day for more than a year. So it was really, really, really intensive. And I notice along the way the changes. But I think this could happen if you do the work on other things too. It doesn't have to be on mother. Um, well, first, I think I recognize the energy of war in me. So when I would start a war with my son, for example, I would just stop and back off a little.
Mhm.
That was, I think, one of the first things that I've done. And then I would go and do a worksheet on what happened. And I started inquiring all those fantasies and dreams and concepts and beliefs that I have. What is a family?
Mhm.
What keeps us together? You know, and yeah, and all the comparisons. You know, comparing the family I had to the family I have to other people's families and all that stuff. You know, at the core of everything, it's just it shouldn't be this way.
Right.
Yeah, that's the
And
belief. Yeah.
it shouldn't be this way. And then looking at, okay, well, it should be like this instead. It should be like what this family has, or what this magazine tells us, or what this like story from
Oh, the
religion tells us.
magazines. Yes.
So it's like, that's a big thing of, you know, what, like how we keep ourselves unhappy, right? Because we compare and compare.
Yeah, and we get
Right.
all this advice from all the other people. And yeah, and in the work, we don't give advice for a very good reason, because you need to have to find your own way, your own
Yes.
truth.
Yes.
Yeah, and when I started, I also looked at other people, what kind of relationship they do, and especially people with a troublesome relationship with their mothers, that can be abusive, neglectful, violent, and all kinds of things. So it's like, what are they doing? Um, and it just doesn't work, because it's not me. It's not my way. It's not my business.
Mhm.
It's not what's authentic to me. So I also made sure when I worked on the book to stay true to my understanding of the work
Mhm.
of Byron Katie, and not offer a new theory, and not offer advice, and just keep, sending people to look back inside themselves, because I found this is what works in the end, and this
Right.
is what is creating the changes. And yeah, and another side effect of doing the work, I think, is communication. And even if sometimes still I'm very confused, just being able to say, I don't really know what goes on in my mind right now, but like something going on. It's not personal about you, and I just need to figure this out, which I wasn't able to do in the past. Just it's not personal. It's
No.
like I was in stress or distress, and someone just was coming along. So take it out on them.
Right.
It's your fault. I
Right.
blame you.
Right.
I judge
Right.
you.
And
Yeah.
it goes so quickly, right? It's like, of
Yeah.
course it's their fault. Like, you know, who else? No, nobody else around. So obviously it's got to be their fault.
Yes. Which brings us back to when you grow up, it's your parents who are the people who you spend time most with at
Right.
home, and then your children and your husband or wife or partner or whoever
Yes.
you're living with, and they affect your freedom,
Right. Absolutely.
sense of
Yes.
freedom the most.
Right. Yes, totally. Yeah. That just reminds me of an inquiry I did recently, and it just dropped me into the like a position of like being maybe 2 or maybe 1.5 when I was dressed by my mother and feeling intense, like I from today's I would describe it as hatred for being forced into a jacket. And you know, as I'm dropping into this inquiry, I can see how this emotion was there, and I pinned it on her, even that little child, because she was there.
Yeah.
It's yeah, and to be able to see those things, I think, are just so incredibly freeing. But you have to do it for yourself. You can't ever, you know, well, there's a little part of it where you can listen to other people and you start to see it. And but the deepest release definitely comes if you do the work for yourself.
Yeah, and I think we are students, and we do learn from other people.
Yes.
But it's again, it's not just to blindly obey and follow.
Yes.
Just test it. And
Yes.
even Katie always says, like, don't believe me, test it for yourself.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
I love that.
Uh-huh. Me too. So, Nurit, we've been talking around and around and around the work. Like, how do you describe the work to people? What is it? What does it do?
So the work, I think for me, it's still tricky to explain what it is. It's still challenging. And so on the surface, it's just for questions,
Mhm.
but they run so deep. And even just question number one, is it true to really? It's like a pearl, you need to dive deep into your soul or spirit or the core of you. and find that pearl. Like, what's the truth? And wanting to know the truth too. So for me, it's about just getting to know me better, finding my truth, my integrity, and I find my freedom is just a byproduct of that process, and slowing down. And instead of letting the thoughts run around like crazy in my head, just pick one,
Mhm.
just sit with that one, take the time. And also sometimes I think about the work is like going to the gym of your mind.
Okay.
And, it takes practice to study your mind. And
It
it's the
does.
most efficient thing that I came across. I tried many things, and yeah, I think I started looking since I was 20 or something, and I'm 50. So about 30 years of searching and searching and searching. It's like, gosh. And in the end, I just looked up the sky. It's like, just send me someone. It's like a woman, hopefully alive, and, that I can understand what she's talking about. Yeah. And the short time after that, I picked Loving What Is.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, started this journey. So the work, what is the work? It's magic. It's
Yes.
witchcraft.
Yes. Uh-huh. And sometimes I end up telling my clients, like in the beginning, like, so it ends up being like magic. I'm not expecting you to believe it just yet. You need to do the work for a little while, but it ends up being like that. It's, you question your thoughts about other people, and the situation improves, and they didn't need to do anything, while we're so conditioned to go like, well, it's what they do. I can't do anything here. It's obviously their fault. And it just turns out that you can, and you have all the power that you needed.
Yeah. Yeah. I think what I like about the work, it brings me again to just question everything, and
Yes.
not just about people, but, norms and values and social conventions and all the sacred cows.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that one line in the Tao? What is it? When people, oh, I've forgotten now. It's about how conventions, ethical codes and moral codes arise from when people are losing their freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you do the work with people, how would you describe what they get out of it? What do you see in them?
Yeah. Um, well, I can guess just by connecting with my experience at the end of a session of sitting with someone, or there's a small group I'm sitting with and we do the work on mothers. And I feel like a party. I feel like I've been to a party. So I don't know how they feel, but to me, yeah, I mean, for sure, you get to know yourself better. Um, and I believe they get to know themselves better. Um, and
I like,
in the work, yeah, and in the work, we're equals, and their work is my work too. So I
yes,
like that as well, that I get to be a student as well. And
yes,
this is why we are facilitators and not coaches or trainers or therapists, or we're just sitting together and holding the space and actually facilitating each other in a way. And yeah, I think everyone gets insights into themselves. But for me, it's like really, I feel at the end of an hour or two that I've been through something very meaningful and profound that has a lot of impact on me, and I love it. It's my new addiction.
right? Yes.
It's addicting. The sense to be free from something you believed in, the sense of freedom is very addictive, but in a very, very good way.
Absolutely. Yes. As one of my spiritual teachers said, if you need to have an addiction, make it your search for the divine. And I think, like, to me, that's what this work really falls under. It's that it's a letting go of the boundaries of just me in war with the world, to like me in relationship, in community with the world and with the
Yeah.
divine.
Yeah, and it starts with peace inside of me. And
Yes.
I did shift from a lot of war to a lot more peace. And it's not like I'm Zen like every day, but a huge difference.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Why would you recommend somebody read your book? Allow yourself to be like they get all of those things from them. No modesty.
Yeah. Well, I thought about it, in many ways. And I think, so I'll give another example. I worked with a man a while ago, and he was judging his wife, the mother of his children. And so I think, even men who read the book can get a lot of insights about mothers. They're the mother of their children. You get insights about yourself as a mother, as a parent. You get insights about your mother. You get insights about women, and their experience. And so there's so many angles, different angles to look at this. It's like all roles that mothers play and all the turnaround. So I also found when I facilitated a few people, sort of like a new turnaround. I call it a turnaround to the role. When you put yourself not in someone else's shoes, but you put yourself in a similar role, in a similar situation, and you get to study your experience in that role. So for example, if I judge my mother and then I put myself in the role of a mother with my children in a similar situation, and I get to experience that. So I'm not in my mother's shoes. I can't guess her state of mind or her experience, but I do get to expand my understanding of being in that position in such a situation. So, and we all have mothers. So I think, if you really want to find peace in your relationship with your parents and in your relationship with your children, it can give you some peace of mind and many insights.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. And I love that how things changed in my home as a result of me doing this kind of work. A lot less arguing, fighting, tension and conflicts and things. And for example, I used to complain a lot that we live like roommates here. And then it turned, oh, we live like roommates here. It's like everybody's free to do what they want. It looks like everyone's having a good time, doing what they like. So it's the same. Nothing changed in reality, just my perception of it.
Yes.
And I see that everybody's happy and content, and I don't need to change anything. It's just this belief that it shouldn't be this way. And it's just by really going deep, deep, deep. There are 19 facilitations here, and I read them plenty of times because I also edited the book. So I learned so much from different people who participated in this project. So their wisdom and their experience and their insights. And also I wrote some chapters where I connect the content to the elements of the work. So people I wanted another book about the work. And I read all of them a couple of times and I was wanted more. So I wrote the book. So people who love the work and want more might be interested to read this book. And also I wanted to read books about the work that go deep into specific topics.
Mm-hmm.
So this book is doing that as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
Great. I haven't read it yet, but I think I'll look forward to reading it. Definitely. And yes, so thank you so much for taking the time and talking to me about it. I love all your reasons for writing it. And as you're talking, I already have in my mind all these people that I want to forward it to and go like, hey, you know what? I think you should have a look at this, because I think, yeah, because honestly, our parents are giving from the, we think our parents are giving us so much grief. So they have the potential to give us so much freedom if we take them to the work. Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Totally.
Yeah.
And that's when we really start to love them without all those judgments. So
Yeah.
thank you very
And
much,
I
Nurit.
just wanted to say that
Yes.
there are different ways to love your parents. We
Right.
talked a little bit about that.
Yes. And thanks for remembering.
Yeah, because it's really also something that troubled me for a long time until I just figured it out. There is no one way. There is no one script. There is no one reality. And part of the fight and the loss of peace is because we think, again, that we need to bend and fit into this one way to do things.
Yes.
And the reality shows us there is no one way.
Yes. And that I love that as at the end of the interview. It's like, yeah. And it's one thing my brother said to me many years ago when I said to him, I don't understand. I have so many spiritual teachers and all of them say like, you should follow this one way. And he said, totally, absolutely. You must follow one way only, your way.
Yours. Yes. Yeah, that's my experience too.
Yes. So let's be meticulous in that, because that's where we're real.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Nurit. Yes. And all the best, obviously, for the book.
Thank you.